Okay, so I got a few parts for the Firebird that it needed. I got the original hood hinges here, which if you can tell, this one was perfectly okay. And this one here, as you can tell, was bent. And so instead of just fighting it and bending it back, I decided just to order one. So, be honest, known to me, I didn't realize, but I guess 72 Camaro is the same thing. So I got a hold of All American Classics, which is in Washington State over in Vancouver. Very helpful guys over there. They got it in the mail, got it sent over to me. I got it, and it was zip tied with tension on it. So they even put the tension with the arrows which way it's going to spring out. Over on this side it shows warning, springs, tension. So you know, the guy don't just cut the zip ties and then regret it. Also, I ordered the back lettering for the Pontiac, which you can tell here has none. Zero zip, no lettering. So I thought maybe I'd spruce it up a little bit, get some lettering. Of course, they had everything but the T. I got these from Frank's Pontiac out of California, who is the same people I ordered the side vents, which I have not put on yet. These side vents here, and they got them right into the mail. Very helpful people, very easy to work with. So anyway, I got all the letters except the T. So if anybody out there has a T for a 72, I guess it's 70 to 81 Pontiac, I'd sure appreciate getting a T, because right now I don't have a Pontiac, I have a Pontiac, not a Pontiac. I'd like to have a Pontiac. Of course, when I took the hood off, I put the bolts in a coffee can, and that's been a couple years, so gosh only knows where they're at. So I got onto Classic Industries and ordered some original style bolts so I can bolt the hood hinges on, and that's where that's at. So get over here. Like I said, I've got these carburetors. I'm going to pull off this 4150, which I think is probably just a hair more than the stock 350 needs, and I'm going to put these on. These have both been rebuilt by the same guy locally here in town, old race car guy, who's nice enough to rebuild these carburetors. He's the carburetor guru. And so I'm going to get these switched out, and then I'll fire it back up, and we'll see how it runs. How it runs then. And also, all the work. I got tons of work to do this thing, so I got no lack of things to do. So here's the hood. Hood is just as rough as the rest of the car, as you can tell. I think it's focusing there. But anyway, the whole car is rough, as you can tell. Go back. I got a playlist of when I first got this car, so that you can tell by the top it's rough. Had a Mako paint job a long time ago, or Amco, whatever it is, and it just come right apart. You can tell there's some serious Bondo here, some serious rust throughout the whole thing. It's going to be my ratty car. I bought it just to beat on and then give it to my youngest grandson, Brody, when the time comes. So just a little walk around the car here, show you how rough it is. There's tons of work to be done, so I'm going to be living in the shop. Weather's warming up. The ice fishing's not that great. So onto the car I go. So enough yakking, and let's get these carburetors swapped out. Well, I figure I better give everybody a little explanation of why I'm not kicking out videos like I should be. So there's a positive and a negative to hoarding. So, I got this shop last year and, you know, put a few tools in it, but then I kept needing tools that I didn't have here, so I had to run back and forth. I live a little over a mile away, so back and forth for a tool that I had to look for, it all takes time. And so I started trying to organize this with bringing everything over here. And as you can see here, here's the hoarding aspect of it all. I've got boxes and boxes of just all different kinds of stuff. Here's just a small fraction of some of the boxes I've already brought over here and emptied. The place is trashed mess. There's no other way to put it. It's just trashed. And so, as I'm trying to find places to put stuff so I can find it later, it just takes time. Okay, so here's some of the stuff I've already brought up, trying to get some kind of organization, which I really wish I had organizing skills, because obviously by looking at it I don't. But just a little preview here. Here's one right here. This is, I would say, 4 feet off the floor here. This is a head knocker. It seems like every day I come up here, I end up hitting my head on this. I got this one, and then there is that one there. So if I don't hit my head on that one, which I normally don't, I usually clear the first one, and then I am lucky enough to hit my head on this one. My head's kind of sore. I'm actually thinking of bringing up a hard hat just to put on as I get up here, so I don't crush my skull. But here's just some of the stuff that I've got piled up in here. Just years and years of hoarding my whole life. So as I get it all over here, I can get it up here, maybe get it kind of organized a little bit to where I can find stuff without having to drive a mile home just to find one tool or a piece off a carburetor or whatever it may be. So that's what that's all about. As soon as I get everything organized, I'll be able to, focus on mainly just kicking out some videos. Thanks for your patience. Today's haul was getting my air compressor over here, and this here little toolbox is full of all my air tools. So, I'll get it in here and get it all set up. And hopefully by the end of this month of February, I'll have this thing pretty organized, be working on stuff every day instead of trying to figure out where everything's at and where to put it. All right, so it's been a while since I was in the shop. I come over and did a video, said in my last video I was gonna get back in the shop, and then I went fishing, ice fishing for a month with my grandkids and my kids and stuff. Had a good time, but it is time now to get back on the Firebird. So that's where it's at. I got a few things to do, as you can see in the background here. Maybe come over here. I'm gonna swap out these carburetors, take this 4150 off, and get this I'm pretty sure it's a Quadrajet, and get it on there with the whole idea of getting the hood back on. Get the shaker back on and get it looking more like a car. So that's where we're at here. So I'm going to do a carburetor swap this 4150 Holly is probably just a little much, too much carburetor for a stock 350. I've got a Quadrajet here, and I think that's what came originally on this car anyway. So I'm going to get this one on it, and we'll see how it runs, and that way it'll be closer to having the hood put back on it. So here is a little hiccup. I love where I live. I'm way out in the sticks, but I go to put this carburetor on, and it's got a plug in it, and I got, as you can see, a vacuum line to hook up for the power brakes. So out in the sticks, I'm 22 miles from town. So, you know, it's this little things like this that just stop you. You know, I've got this here that fits it, but, you know, this thing, big old pipe sticking out, that ain't gonna work. So, I'm, you know, stuck until I get to town. I checked all my other carburetors, nothing else has one on it. So, off to do something else, you know. I got this, I guess I'll do the temperature gauge. That's one nice thing about having tons of stuff to do. Got to put on that ground strap. Lots of things. So, no carburetor today. Back to it tomorrow. So here's a plus about being a hoarder. I was looking for a adapter for that carburetor over there to hook up my vacuum for my power brakes, and I came across this here thing of Mr. Gasket handles for these fancy studs for my valve covers, and I don't even know where I got them. You know, I come across stuff, I just keep it, and I just come across them like brand spanking new. Almost too shiny for this, but you know, I'll take it. So here's my dilemma. So do I take these nice shiny chrome wing nuts for my valve cover bolts and dull them up, or do I shine up the old ones? You know, they look perfectly good here on this dirty old ratty muscle car of mine. Dilemma. So here's one of those things you regret. You know, I was in such a hurry to get this thing running for the first time. I just pushed everything through this jagged hole. I don't know how well you can see that jagged hole, but then I go to put the temperature gauge in, and I notice, you know, I just thrown everything through this hole, so now I've got to undo it all, pull it all out of there, get a decent hole in there so I can get a rubber grommet in there so I don't later on regret everything going through this jagged hole that somebody just punched through the firewall there. Alrighty, back in the shop today. A couple days later, I got this plug put in the back here so I can hook up the vacuum for the power brakes. So I'm ready to mount the carb. Got all the wires pulled out of the jagged hole in the dash, or in the firewall here, so I'll get that drilled out, get a grommet of some kind in there so I can run those wires back through. So I guess when I get this carburetor all bolted on and all hooked up or whatever, I'll bring you back and show you my little bit of progress. Okay, as you can tell, I'm making a little headway here. I've got my grommet through the dash. I've got my heat sending unit all hooked up down here. Trying to get the oil gauge. Since I got the temperature gauge all hooked up, I'm getting the oil gauge hooked up next. Get these wires ran back through that hole to my toggle switch and push button so I can get her started. Got the fuel line hooked up, the vacuum line hooked up, got the linkage hooked up and a spring, so we should be good to go there. I've got my temperature gauge mounted. Hopefully it's not going to be in my way there. My oil gauge right there above it. Got my toggle switch. The toggle switch mounted. Now I'm just going to mount that push button so I can hit the power and hit that button and get her fired up. And tomorrow we'll be ready for a drive, in theory. So getting close. Shouldn't take long now. All right, so I have, let's see, get some light on the subject here. All right, so I got my toggle switch and push button hooked back up. Here's my gauge, temperature gauge. Got everything hooked up. Got all my wires ran through my little makeshift grommet there. Yep, everything, all my wires ran. Carburetor's all hooked up. So we'll hook up the battery, throw some gas in it, which I already did, and it did fire. So we'll see if it'll fire again and see if it'll run. When I got under here, I noticed that the battery cable was melted. Let's see if I can get a view of it. I can't see it. Oh, here we go. So you can see where it was melted right here. And so I did the professional thing and put a little bungee on it. I'm sure that's the way they do it at any professional shop. So that should keep it from melting, getting on the exhaust manifold. So that's probably, you know, a trade secret I shouldn't be letting out, but you know, it sure looks good to me. Alright, see if she'll fire up. Yep, she's a runner. All right, so this thing runs pretty good with this Quadrajet carburetor on it. So I think it's time we throw a passenger seat in it and some tires. I got some half-bald tires at the house, or bald tires at the house off my boy's old Camaro he used to have. And we'll take it for a spin, see if we can't spin some tires, see if we can do a Brody. I live in a very small town, so I should probably get away with that. And we'll leave the video at here, and so next video, yeah, we'll try to beat up on this thing a little bit and see how much fun we can have. All right, well, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.